And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Welcome to the breakdown. I'm your host, Dujunnea Bland. And of course, I've got my trusty sidekick with me, Carita Parks. How's it going, Carita?
It's going good. Hey, everyone. Almost a new year.
Indeed. And we all need it. We all need it. I don't know if it's going to get any better, but we're going to be positive about it, though.
Yeah,
but I tell you what.
Just happy to make it to the new year.
Yes.
And, I'm the same way. I'm not as hype as I usually am going into the new year. I'm happy to go into the new year, but I'm like, I'm going to take it one step at a time. Because like you said, I don't know. I think the beginning of the year, COVID is still going to be an issue, but hopefully sometime as we go along in 2021, things subside.
Agreed. I hope so. And on a positive note, before we even get into anything, I'm just going to let you guys know straight up that if you are not on and hip with this Triple Dub podcast featuring my co-host and 3 other phenomenal ladies, you're missing out. This thing, I believe, kicked off last week or 2 weeks ago.
About
the first episode?
2 weeks ago was the first episode.
Okay.
It's meant to be weekly, but we wanted to, since we talk about the Wizards, we wanted to let them play their season opener first before we came out with another episode.
Right. And the second episode is up right now. I believe it is Triple Dub on the YouTube, and I'll let Carita do that, and we'll reiterate that at the end of the show. But you guys need to be on this ASAP.
Triple Dub Pod. At Triple Dub Pod.
There you go. At Triple Dub Pod. Great stuff. And I just wanted to get that off. I wanted to celebrate that because you ladies are knocking out of the park. It is an excellent, excellent pod. And I'm enjoying every minute of it. I'm learning a lot from the ladies. Love it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your support always.
And after having that positive note, we have to go to the Washington football team. The Washington football team was unable to close the door on the season and be able to get into the playoffs last week as they took a loss. We'll get into that part. But their 15th overall pick in the first round, Dwayne Haskins, no longer with the team. Would you like to expand on that, Carita?
Yeah, he's no longer with the team. But prior to the game on Sunday, he was out. He said it was a private party. There were strippers at this party. It was caught on camera. Like everything else is always caught on camera. You would think by now you would know. And, I think what was so bad about that image coming out is that was his first time starting since week 4. He didn't play very well. He played worse this past Sunday, but he didn't play that well that particular day, and the team lost. And so you're out having this good time like nothing happened. But if you're going to be out, just make sure it's not caught on camera. But it was. So that was the talk all week leading up to this Panthers game. Dwayne didn't play well at all. He had turnovers, I think 3 of them, if I remember correctly. Two interceptions and 1 fumble, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and he just didn't play a good game whatsoever. And shortly after that, wait. Also, word is that he passed on talking to the media, which is not an option when you are a starting quarterback.
Sure isn't.
Not an option at all. He didn't talk to them until he got home, and my understanding is like PR had to essentially track him down to talk to media. So next day, he was released by the team, and I'm surprised they did it before the season just ended, but that also goes to show you that they were over it at that point, and he was released. From my perspective, I supported Dwayne Haskins for a very long time.
As did I.
I definitely thought that he was being mistreated at certain times. But as of late, he was just really showing that he is extremely irresponsible and immature and not in a place to lead this team. So I am with them in the fact that they just had to cut ties.
Exactly. And my thing is for all of you people with the second chances and, he's just being this or that, he's young. Look, man, you were given an opportunity at the beginning of the season to show your worth. You already had COVID violations. You also aren't coming into the facility and acting like you want to be the future of this franchise and be that name. You think you're already there, and your performance shows the opposite. I'm going to go back to the Seattle game, okay? There's an interception that he throws to Cam Sims. I believe it was Cam Sims. There is a linebacker dropping deep. You have the over coverage on the cornerback. I believe the safety is even in the area. And you force that throw and look like, what happened? You don't throw that. Mm-hmm. Any middle school quarterback knows not to throw that route. He should know better. And you threw that. Interception. Again, Carolina game, same thing. The linebacker's digging way deep. It's obvious not to throw that ball. You got the check down with Gibson. Mm-hmm. Easy. And if he throws that check down to Gibson, that's 8+ yards. 8+, and I say plus because we know how shifty Gibson is. But no, you force the ball and there's a pick. All right, that's enough. 2, this organization has been through enough. All right? With all the scandal, with all that nonsense, Julie Donaldson and this team is doing an excellent job of trying to turn this thing around. And you got one jabroni that thinks he's bigger than the team. All right? Now, it's one thing to go do this, but you're not working on your craft. In 2 weeks, you've regressed big time. Do I need to say the numbers? He was 50% completion percentage, 14 of 28 for 153 yards. A guy who's only been on the team since, December 8th on the practice squad, comes in and puts together a drive to put points on the board. Look, After that, if it was me, and I've said this over and over again, your butt would have been cut when the video came out. But they gave you a chance. And I thought, you saw me tweet that, he didn't deserve another chance. Period.
I don't think they gave him a chance. I think that they had no options.
That is true.
I don't think it had anything to do with a chance. I believe if that would have happened and Alex Smith could have played, one, he wouldn't have played at all. And he probably would have been cut. But if he wasn't cut, he just wouldn't have played. They wouldn't have put him on the field. Right. And that was the issue. And then you can't, in my opinion, the quarterback, the backup, you don't know enough about him to start him.
That's true. That is true.
So from my opinion, I don't believe it was another chance. I believe it was just, we have no other options. So we have to go with you. And then he played like trash. And they were just like, you know what? I'm done with this. Like, there's no even reason to even allow him to play.
And what does it say about his antics?
On the field, he's not helping us off the field.
Yes. And what does it say about his antics when your agent wants to part ways with you?
Yeah, that's interesting. I wish that I understood more what that was about. Like, it's hard for me to say anything on that situation because it was like, well, did his agent decide to cut ties or did Dwayne decide to cut ties? Because let's be honest, we don't know, just based on what we've seen of Dwayne's, like, just behavior as of late, we don't know if he was the one who initiated that or if it was the agent.
Right.
So that's a tough one for me. But either way it goes, it doesn't look good.
Right.
On top of what's been happening lately. So,
in my humble opinion, this team did not win because the guy taking the field they had no respect for. We've seen this time and time again, especially with what went down, the fact that it's a COVID violation. On top of that, you put your coach at risk, you put your quarterback room at risk. This team knows it's in a playoff run, okay? And that guy taking the field doesn't they feel like he doesn't deserve to be out there, but they understand that they really don't have a choice. It's hard to play for a guy that you don't look fair or favorably upon. And I think that had an effect.
I agree with that, but I think it might be more. One, they didn't have respect. Okay, but you can have no respect for someone if you still believe that they're gonna like get you the win. Because once you get on the field, don't nobody care as long as you winning.
That's true.
But I feel like not having that respect coupled with not believing in him.
There you go.
And I want to say probably not believing in him more than not having respect. I really think that probably played more into it because they probably just didn't believe that he could get them that W.
Right.
And, can you blame them? Because there's been situations where he has struggled. And, you're trying to win this division. So, and it's crazy because when Taylor Heineke came in, like, they did have a different spark.
They did. It was crazy. It was crazy, the night and day difference of the team itself offensively, and what they were able to do. If they had a little more time, there's no telling what would have happened because I really didn't think 20 points was a killer. That kickoff fumble for a touchdown was something that really hurt them. But if you take that away, it was about 13 points. That's not in something that they couldn't overcome. I don't even think the 20 points was something they couldn't overcome. They didn't pull the trigger quick enough to get Dwayne out of there. I also thought that they got away from the run way too early.
Yeah. Well, we won't go down this road. I'm still not a Scott Turner fan, but that's just
I'm not
me.
either. And with that said,
shame, but I'm just not impressed.
Exactly. And with that said, Washington has a chance to get in the playoffs here. They play the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football at 8:20 p.m. Eastern. It's a win and in situation. They also can get in if they tie and Dallas loses. But they essentially have to win to get in. And what do you think? Do they have a chance with or without Alex to get in?
I definitely think they have a chance to get in. I do wish they would have locked it up with Carolina because that was just a winnable game to me. Carolina was not playing that well. They weren't finishing games. We should have and could have won that game, but you can't look at the past. I just wish they would have locked it up then. Because in my opinion, Philly, they play better with Jalen Hurts.
They do.
So I'm only concerned about that. I don't think I would be as concerned about Philly, if it was the same Philly team we played early in the season. But with Jalen Hurts, I think that is a particularly different threat. And our defense has not done very well with mobile quarterbacks. So
good point.
The winning you're in just makes me so nervous. But I hope that they pull it off because that would definitely cap off the season.
And I think the thing to look at is Philly's offensive line is not that good. Now, Jalen provides and gives them a little something that kind of takes away some of the flaws. Yeah. The good thing is that this front seven really gets after it, and once they start eating, it's pretty tough for the opponent to recover. The only problem is if you don't get enough offense going consistently, at least to give them some spurts of rest, this could be a problem. But I think they can get it done. Scott Turner's got to realize that you got to run. He's got Jay Gruden tendencies now. You get away from the run way too early. And I thought Gibson was moving the ball quite well. He had some solid yards early. You got to stick with it. The game was not out of reach. And I've heard a lot of media pundits talk about they got up on them. I'm sorry, but they've come back from way more than that. It was like 24 points they were down once and come back from that. So 20 points against a Carolina team that really didn't earn all of those 20. You gave them 6 right out the gate with that fumble on special teams. So it's not that big of a deal if you get down. You've been getting down all season. Stick with what you know and allow the offense to get comfortable and allow things to come to you. And then, maybe then, you might be able to win a ball game. But when you start going and aborting the run too early, well, you're just playing right into the opposing team's defense hands because now they don't have to think. They know exactly what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they can do it.
Well, I just hope the defense is in eat mode because sometimes they come out a little slow too. Like, this is not the week to come out slow. This is the week to come out ready to play ball. But I don't know if you saw, there's an NFL Films clip that's circulating on Twitter with Chase Young when Taylor Heineke came in the game. And I guess Chase must have been mic'd up. And Chase went over to Taylor and said something like, he was just like giving him encouraging words. And Taylor was like, "Oh, I know, this is what I do." And Chase Young was like, "Yo, I like him. He got some swag. So hopefully Taylor brings that swag and the team can rally around him if he's the one who plays. There's still a possibility Alex will.
Absolutely.
But either way it goes, they just need that dub.
Absolutely. And looking around the NFL here, there's a lot of top teams. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs, the Pittsburgh Steelers, for crying out loud. You even look at Tampa Bay. It's really starting to move forward. But there are teams on this thing that are starting to flounder, that are these top teams.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's an upset in this playoffs, the way things are shaping up this season? Some big team is going to get knocked in the mouth early and be knocked out in the first round.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not too keen on the Steelers right now. I don't feel like they're dependable in the playoffs. They might make it, but just on the last couple of weeks, I'm not sure. They are trending downward at the wrong time.
Indy should have put them away. Okay? There's no reason why Indy should have even lost that game. You're up 24-7?
Yeah, exactly. Huh? Yeah, especially with the division. For them, the division was on the line as well because they were in the tiebreaker, I believe, with the Titans. I think the Titans, they're like a team that a lot of people are talking about. My thing with the Titans is I feel every time they match up with a team that's like an even match, those have been the games, in my opinion, that they have lost. So we'll see how they do in the playoffs with teams that are just as good as them.
Right. That is a very good point.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, the only team they beat that I remember that I thought they would get, I thought they would not beat, is the Bills.
Yes.
And that was after the whole COVID situation. So I feel like they came out with a lot of heat as well.
Right.
But I don't know.
Now the New Orleans Saints.
Playoffs, I think it's going to be a very interesting playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe in Kansas City, but I'm just feeling like this is going to be anybody can win type of situation.
I really do. It's up for grabs. I think any of those teams in the playoffs that make it have an opportunity. And for the New Orleans Saints, they not only clinched the NFC South last week, Alvin Kamara goes buck wild. They're getting hot at the right time.
Right.
Even without Michael Thomas.
They are getting hot at the right time. And, it'll be interesting if they have to play Tampa Bay again, who, like you said, is kind of starting to find their identity, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I do definitely wonder how that's going to go. But, yeah, they're definitely trending upward at the right time. They got Drew Brees back, which is interesting because does that mean that he didn't believe enough in Taysom to take them to the playoffs?
Look, I think that was 100%. He didn't believe. And not only that, when they made that switch, they did not want Taysom to get exposed against the Kansas City Chiefs. That's what I think. I think they didn't want him to get embarrassed. But I also say Sean Payton has been doing a lot of beating his head against the wall, expecting different results and not being creative. if you created a different game plan for Taysom Hill and played to the strengths of what he does best, they would have been virtually unstoppable because there's nothing on tape showing what he does other than the little gadget things that you have him do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have him running Drew Brees like plays. It's the same thing I said about Haskins when it comes to Scott Turner. Stop having these guys do what their counterpart does. They aren't their counterpart.
That's true. And that's a good point about Haskins, because we do just have to say, I don't think his failure was complete, at least on the field, was completely his fault, because I don't think Scott Turner was playing up to his strengths. You see that he does a lot better in up-tempo, so why don't you go with up-tempo more often? But, yeah, you make a great point with that, with both of those.
And before we close out this segment, I'm going to run down real quick the AFC and NFC playoff scenarios. We all know Buffalo, Kansas City, Pittsburgh are in. They have division titles. Kansas City in the AFC has the first round bye. Baltimore, it's basically a win or in. If they don't, they need Cleveland to lose. They need Indy to lose. Or they need all these. Baltimore ties, Miami loss, all these scenarios. But basically, it's a win or in. Cleveland, same thing. It's win and in. That's it. Or they'll get in by an Indy loss. And then there's these combinations over that they could do. But the first three are the basic scenarios that are likely to happen. Indy, it's win and in. They have to tie, and they still need Tennessee to lose. Either way. If they win, they need Tennessee to lose to get in, or tie to get in. So they need some help. I don't think Tennessee's going to lose this week.
Who does
Indianapolis Colts play the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Oh. Okay. But
boy.
Laugh now, but my Jags got that number 1 pick in the NFL.
They do. So, I want them to do something with it. I really do. Miami, it's a win and in. Or a Baltimore loss will get them in, or Cleveland loss will get them in, or a Indy loss will get them in. So they have a couple ways. But win and in. It's just about winning, guys. Tennessee, same thing. Win and in. Or they can have an Indy loss. And then there's that scenario where they could tie and Indy ties, and they would be the ones to get in. They play Houston this Sunday. The NFC.
I don't see them losing that one.
I don't either. Houston, in the NFC, it's Green Bay, division winners, Saints division winners, Seattle division winners, and Tampa Bay clinched a playoff berth last week. Arizona, it's winning in. Tie and Chicago loss is their next scenario, but it's winning in. Chicago, they can go winning in. Or Arizona loss, they're in. So that's pretty easy. They play Green Bay. I don't see them beating Green Bay. Cowboy scenario, they need to win, and they need Washington to lose or tie. Or they need a tie and a Washington loss. And they will clinch the NFC East. Green Bay, they're looking for a first-round bye. They just have to win or a Seattle loss or tie. So that'll be interesting to see if Green Bay can get that first-round bye, because I don't know if it makes a difference for either of these teams to get the first-round bye. But, hey, it's on the line. I'm sure they'd like to have the extra rest, so they're going to try to do that. Los Angeles Rams, boy, they really put themselves in a situation here. It's a winner-in deal or Chicago loss or tie. And they play Arizona. So that's going to be a very good game to watch because both have playoff implications on the line. New Orleans Saints, it's just looking for a first-round bye. So they play Carolina. I think that's a dub. They just have to win. They need a couple scenarios here. They need to win. They need Green Bay to lose. And they need Seattle to win. We'll see. Because the Seahawks play San Francisco. And they're scrappy. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Now the Giants, laughably, the Giants have the ability to clinch the NFC East with a win and a Washington loss. Very interesting here.
There's too many scenarios here.
It is. And the last one, Seattle, they get a first-round bye by a Seattle win plus a Green Bay loss plus a New Orleans loss. They're not getting that first-round bye. Sorry. And we know the Washington scenario. It's win and in. That is your playoff scenario, ladies and gentlemen. And we will head to break on that note. And when we come back, we're going to talk some NBA. And the Wizards, man, are not making me look good early. We'll talk about it when we come back.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the breakdown. We're going to move on to the NBA. And like my co-host DJ said, the Wizards are not making him look good. But to be fair, they're not making anyone look good because no one thought that they would be 0-4 at this point in the season. Now, I can completely understand not winning every game. But 0-4... I am completely blown away and slightly worried. I know it's still early in the season, but an 0-4 start, when you have Russell Westbrook now, there are new pieces, so they do have to build some chemistry, but to me, that's just still not the excuse.
No.
We are not seeing defense at all. We saw some glimpses the first game, but after that, pretty much haven't seen it since. We're seeing these fourth quarter collapses, not even fourth quarter collapses, like collapses in the last 5 minutes of the game. Right. The only one I think the fourth quarter was the Bulls. They didn't have a chance really in that fourth quarter. Turnovers, we're seeing turnovers. Just a lot of sloppy play. I mean, they're not doing well from the 3-point line. They're not getting free throws, but they're getting the other team on the free throw line, giving them free points. It's just some sloppy basketball. And last but not least, Coach Brooks just keeps messing with the lineups. And then this 3-guard lineup that he likes right now, it's not working.
It's not.
So let's just stop it and move on.
It's trash.
But as of today, he said that we're getting Rui Hachimura back, which isn't going to solve all their problems, but I think that will help with some of these lineup issues.
Agreed.
And, I could go off, but I'm going to stop and, let you chime in here.
Look, there's some things I want to point out here. Just in the Chicago game, you allow your opponent 32 times to the line. You got to play cleaner defense than that. And just about every game, guys have been getting to the line at least 30 times or more, okay? The 3-point percentage they allowed in the last game, 41% from 3? Come on, man. You can't have that. And we know you're not playing any defense because you're allowing 100-plus points or more. Let's take a look at the schedule. They got 113 points for the 76ers, 130 points for the Magic in a game that they should never been in that type of position. Then the next Magic game, back-to-back, they allowed 120 points in a game you led by 17 points going into the fourth. They owned them. And
questionable lineup again, but there was a questionable lineup in that fourth quarter. And Orlando capitalized and ate into that lead.
You can't keep allowing 100-plus points with a team who's young, trying to find its way. But Scott ain't helping them with these ridiculous lineups. I mean, I'll use the Lakers for an example.
Of course.
Let's say you pull LeBron out or you pull AD out. You pull them both out. When that lineup is not doing a good job, it's time to insert those guys back in because they need that push and that spark to get them and to not allow this thing to get out of hand to where you can't recover from it. And I don't understand why you continue and you watch a lineup that's struggling and you just continue to beat your head against the wall until it's a 20-point lead and you still don't make a change. What's wrong with this picture?
And I don't remember if it was the first Orlando game or the second Orlando game, but I think it was the second Orlando game because Westbrook wasn't playing.
Yep.
He had Brad on the bench, Thomas Bryant on the bench, and Raul Neto on the bench, who had all been playing very well.
Exactly.
He had him on the bench for an extended period of time late in that game when they should have been on the floor helping that team win.
Easy.
And in the 76ers game, the 76ers had 52 points in the paint. And when they beat the Wizards, they beat them in the paint. That's how they came back.
That's lack of defense.
Exactly.
Lack of defense. And I'll point out something else. In the last Orlando game, you had a guy with 5 fouls. Why are you not attacking that guy? Get him out of there. Because once they have to put somebody else in, it kills their lineup. It kills their rotation. It would have killed their flow. But we're not attacking this guy. We're shooting jump shots. The countless ill-advised threes that are being shot when you're not taking high percentage shots and you wonder why you're not winning?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Hey, Russ, it's time to talk to your boy, all right? Because he messing stuff up right now. I still got belief, though. It's early. They're going to make those playoffs. They're going to get those 40-plus wins. But right now, this is frustrating to watch because this team, and I think everyone who covers this team knows they're better than this.
Oh, absolutely. They're absolutely better than what they're putting out on the court. They're absolutely better than what they're putting out on the court, but they're just getting outplayed. And in some instances, they're getting outcoached.
Agreed. And Scott, I'm not with the hashtags right now, but you know what? I'm also not going to sit up here and tell the fans that they can't do it because what he's put out there looks like somebody that's incompetent. There's no excuses for you now. You have all the pieces. It's time for you to put them together, period, or you can hit the road.
And then one other thing is like in press conferences, especially like yesterday and even today, he's very even keel and calm, but it's kind of like we need a little fire. Like we need a little fire in you, a little anger. Like you say y'all are upset and I can tell Brad's upset. I know everybody doesn't wear their emotions on their sleeves. Don't get me wrong. Like Westbrook was not upset when he talked to us per se, but you could tell by him not leaving the court and just kind of sitting there like down that he's affected. So it's like, Coach, like we need a little bit more fire out of you.
Absolutely. He too complacent. I'd be getting into somebody's behind, but he really needs to look at himself in the mirror because it starts with him, period.
I mean, he said it's on me. He did say it's on me.
Well, let's make some changes. I want to see some changes this next game. There's no excuses for this, period.
Cannot lose to Chicago back-to-back and Orlando back-to-back.
No. I mean, guys like the 76ers, you look at the Nets in this Eastern Conference, the Cavs, Pacers, even the Atlanta Hawks with my guy Rajon Rondo lighting it up. And with this squad, they're 0-4, looking like the Pistons, and they're not the Pistons.
No, it's not a good start for the Wizards, and I'm very surprised.
And so the Clippers, for all these people that put this on Doc, the Clippers are still the Clippers. And I said what I said last year. I am not PG-13 fan. Dude comes up missing. And that nonchalant, I ain't worried about it. It's not a big deal. Dude, You got more than got your butt handed to you with a 51-point history-making loss, and you acting like it's no big deal? This is the same crap y'all were doing that got your coach fired in the playoffs when you were supposed to be in the Western Conference Finals, going to the championship and winning the championship. And you, of all people, tend to come up missing when it's important. It's no consistency. I'm sorry, but that ain't good enough for me. Period.
No, and the whole, I enjoyed my Christmas. We're just getting back from Christmas. It's like, dude, stop it.
For real.
Stop
The excuses.
It's just, no. Take responsibility for that L. Take responsibility for not playing well. Just take responsibility for it. But the whole Christmas excuse, like, nobody wants to hear that.
Exactly.
And it's just not even a good excuse.
Who's surprising you right now early in this season so far?
As far as what?
As far as teams in either the East or the West, who surprises you? As a lot of teams have gotten some quick starts. I'll start. The Brooklyn Nets, to me, are surprising because you had two guys that haven't played together yet in Kevin Durant. And that team is really kind of scary if you think about it. If they can come together, they really could possibly run the table. They could be very, very tough. And I know there's other teams in the East. The 76ers are one of them. But they look quite stout if they can continue to consistently put it together.
Yeah, so I guess I didn't think about it that way because I'm not really surprised by the Nets because I expected them to do well.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the Magic because they're 4-0 right now.
Yeah.
And to me, not that I felt like they were a bad team because they weren't. I mean, they played well last season, but they always kind of taper off towards the end of the season.
Right.
But I don't know that I would have said the Magic would be 4-0. The Wizards?
Me neither.
Yes. No, I didn't think the Wizards were going to be 4-0, but my point is I didn't really think the Magic would be 4-0.
Right.
Out the
I
gate.
thought the Wizards would be 2-2.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was. Because when they were 0-3, I felt like they should have been 2-1, and I definitely feel like they should be 2-2 because they should have beat Chicago.
Yeah, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I mean,
Yeah.
Chicago, talent-wise, is nowhere near close what the Wizards have on the floor. I know people are starting to question the trade, getting back to the Wizards. I know people are questioning that, but I just think this falls on coaching, and I think the lineups are the big deal here. The lineups and the lack of defense has to change and needs to change now. I don't want to hear it's early in the season. Yeah, no, you know what, Sherlock? I know that. But if this is how you're going to start while other teams are getting ahead of you, the last thing you want to do is be playing catch-up because we really don't know how this season is going to play out. But we do know that it's 10 games less than your normal season. So there's no room for error because if people catch fire and get too far ahead of you, you'll never be able to catch up.
Right.
That would
That's
be disappointing.
Like 0-4 start.
Right.
I mean, if it was a regular season, I may feel differently, but because it's a shortened season, I'm like, you can't really afford to be 0-4 right now.
Exactly. Doesn't look good. But, oh man, it looks like the Wizards this Thursday at 5 p.m. play the Chicago Bulls again.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? They got to turn it around right here, right? Because the next night, you have the Timberwolves, which I think is a winnable game. And then you play the Brooklyn Nets. You got to at least get two. You can't go into there to playing the Brooklyn Nets with no wins, right?
No, absolutely. They definitely have to get two of those, in my opinion. But we'll see. But they definitely cannot go into the Nets with no wins because that game right there, the way KD and Kyrie have been coming out so far, man, that could be ugly.
that sage is working or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. And, man, we appreciate y'all tuning in to this show. And first and foremost, I want to thank you, Carita, for coming on board. Definitely needed for this podcast. And I couldn't be more elated to be working with you on this platform. It's been a blast, and I'm looking forward to what 2021 brings.
Same here. Thanks for bringing me on board. It has definitely been a pleasure working with you as well. And I can't believe it's like almost 2021. I mean, I'm happy to be moving on. For 2020,
Thank you all are.
I still can't believe how fast this year has gone by. Like, wow, it's been a crazy year, but we've gotten through it. So,
well, tell them where they can find you at going into 2021.
Well, you can find me in a lot of places. Let's start with my personal account, which is at Carita C. Parks. That's on all platforms, but that's where you can find all of my work and also a little personal things here and there. You can also follow at DBL Take Sports. That's Double Take Sports at DBL Take Sports on all platforms. And of course, at Triple W Pod. That is the new podcast that I am a part of with my other ladies that covers the Wizards. So make sure you're following that as well.
Yeah, please do. I mean, the work that's being done, she's got to be one of the hardest working women that I know. I mean,
Yes.
She is everywhere. And it's
So-
good stuff, guys. So support it. Please support it. Because there's a lot of great women in sports doing wonderful work. And they deserve the accolades. They deserve the support. So do it, please. As for myself, it's not Bland21 on everything. You can follow me on Twitter. You can find my work at sportsjourney.com. And make sure you check out the other podcast as well. Urban Sports Take with Wole. Great stuff. Urban Sports Scene. I'm sorry, bro. Bob Matthews and his podcast. The After Practice podcast with our CEO, our emperor, our king, Lake Lewis Jr. Great stuff over there. Get into it.
Definitely get into it. And how could I forget? You can catch all my Wizards content on sportsjourney.com.
And be sure to go to sportsjourney.com, click on that Urban Sports Scene logo. My co-host Carita Parks was a guest on that show just yesterday. Great stuff talking Wizards. So make sure you go check that out as well. But not before you check us out here, which you should have because you made it to the end.
Absolutely.
Well, we thank you guys so much. You guys be safe. Keep your family safe. And as we say around here with Sports Journey, mask up, baby. Please. Please. And we'll talk to you again in 2021. Later, guys.